and the Democrat Party and powers that be, I mean, they're probably going to be hanging from the wall in a couple of
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Blue Sedition podcast. I'm Nate Brady alongside Mike Smith, and we are here on Predatory Capitalism Day. It's Cyber Monday. Mike, have you done all your consumering today?
Oh yes, I have cybered many times today.
I cybered so hard.
90s kids, they have a different definition for what that is.
I was just going, I don't think. Anyway, we have an action-packed episode today. We have a lot to talk about. We have too much to talk about. I'm tired of all of this.
It's going to be a common theme for the next 4 years. We've got too much to talk about. Yeah, Jesus.
Oh my Lord. What do we have? What do you want to
talk about today?
There's a
lot that happened over Thanksgiving. I hope everybody at home, I hope you had a great holiday. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, you saw family if you wanted to do that, and you didn't have too many political issues. Nate, did you have any, family members or anything that got in your face about your politics or their politics or anything like that?
I posted a very real image of the outside of my I won't say who they are. One of my relatives. One of my relatives' houses that has a nice Trump blow-up doll. And I am just happy to report that I am more than 3,000 miles away from them, and I did not have to have Thanksgiving with anyone. We didn't have we had just my immediate family in the house.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my family, small family, parents and my brother, and then my in-laws, and that was pretty much it. We had weirdly politics discussion Thanksgiving night with the in-laws. I didn't instigate, and I just got to sit back and watch my wife, deal business. It was fantastic.
Wow, that's great.
She was doing all the arguing, and I was just like, that's why I like this chick. She's cool.
All right, you should marry her.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I hope everybody else's, Thanksgiving holiday was equally stress-free.
Yeah. Well, until things started happening. We got news out of the Trump camp. Boy, the misfits, the vagabonds, the whatever else they keep pouring in. Kash Patel has been tapped by Trump to be the next director of the FBI. Have you been following this?
I haven't been following it very closely, and frankly, Kash Patel was not a name that I had in my head as someone that I need to be aware of. That said, I've been, bombarded with information about this person since that post, tweet, whatever. Official PR statement. What is he doing now, Trump? Is he using the office of the press secretary to send pressers yet, or is he just putting it up on Truth Social?
Well, I want to talk about the White House press secretary in a minute, Caroline Leavitt. Let's just leave it for a second.
Yeah.
I think he is just in Mar-a-Lago right now. He's conducting business there. He's basically violating, I guess, is that the right word? He's not playing by the rules of a normal transition. And he's conducting all of his business out of Mar-a-Lago and making his statements either from there or on Truth Social.
So what is, like, in particular, what do you mean he's violating? Like, what are there rules for president-elects and official, like, channels of communication or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's all of that. There's the there's the not doing background checks. There's a whole bunch of things that he's just kind of skipping. I don't have that list in front of me right now because I want to talk about Kash Patel.
All right, tell me about Kash Patel.
So, those of you in the know, this guy has been, he's full on MAGA conspiracy nut job. All right. So, anytime you see him, he's got thick red, hat on, MAGA letters across the top. I mean, he's hardcore. MAGA. He has done he's been on podcasts, he's done other things where he specifically said the things that he would do if he ever became FBI director, and lo and behold, his time has come.
Why would he become FBI director? Like, what's his resume that would lead him to think that one day he would be the FBI director? Like, has he run any like police or enforcement agency office, or did he act in that capacity under some
Or has he been involved
branch?
in the in with the FBI at all?
Right. Well, it doesn't even have to be FBI, because sometimes you see FBI director, they'll come up out of like law enforcement, or they'll be DAs, or they'll have some interaction with that on their resume that just makes it make sense in that kind of pick. Because you're not going to be the FBI director until you're the FBI director, right? So what do you do first?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he was involved in national intelligence at some point. He was like a principal deputy or something similar to that. He's a former public defender.
Okay.
I mean,
So he's not completely without credential. Like, he's got some experience on his resume.
um,
Maybe not the best candidate for the job, but not, the pool guy from Mar-a-Lago.
yeah, I mean, I listen. I'm gonna say something. I want to make sure that I qualify this ahead of time. Bill Barr can go fuck himself. Okay, but Bill Barr, former Attorney General, you may recall,
Yeah.
had noted in his memoir that Patel had virtually no experience that would qualify him for this type of position.
Right. His name was floated in the first Trump admin, right? By
Right.
Trump himself.
Right.
And Bill Barr basically sat on that, turned it down, basically, kept telling then President Trump, not a good pick. It'll never make it through the Senate.
Right.
And then he waited until his tell-all book to release that fact. So
right.
This is Bill Barr, not our favorite AG of all time, but at the very least, a politically minded AG. And
I mean, he
try to rein in Trump's worst qualities when he was at that post.
Yeah, I mean,
so him saying he's too crazy for me,
right? It's just it's just like Bolton, where it's like, I mean,
yeah,
that he's literally insane. I mean, both of those guys, Bill Barr and Bolton, and in any normal time, you'd be like, oh, don't bring these guys anywhere near the White House or the presidency or any whatever. And now they're the ones telling you, hey, you know who's really bad? That's a little frightening.
I think that's an interesting way to look at it, because it speaks to that idea of extremism sort of taking over that the GOP, really, the Republican Party. And I hate to bring up memes about Elon Musk, but it's sort of one of the things we go to all the time. But where they have that meme where it's like the graph where you stand, there's the extreme left and the extreme right, and then they show the graph of like the extreme, I forget which one it is, but they go from like they move and they make you seem more extreme because of it.
Right.
But that's what we're seeing. We have direct examples, like you mentioned, Bill Barr and John Bolton, and you're like, these are the guys that 20 years ago we were like, no, they're too extreme to be anywhere near the White House. Then they made it to the White House, and now they're saying, no, those guys are too extreme to be anywhere near the White House. And you're like, that thing is shifting right every single time.
It's getting worse,
and it's getting worse.
So some of the things that Patel has said. First of all, he believes in the deep state, right? Obviously, he believes there's some deep state working to undermine Trump. He said on
just a regular state. I don't think it's deep.
Well, it's pretty deep. He said on day one in the past, not since being tapped, but in the past, he said on day one he would turn the Hoover Building, the FBI headquarters, into a museum of the deep state, and he would fire or tell all 7,000 employees to hit the streets and go look for real criminals, like what they're, because he understands the deep workings of the FBI, and he
Yeah.
understands that those 7,000 people aren't doing anything. So he said that he has said that the FBI should pursue media figures, journalists, news agencies, and all of their quote unquote conspirators who helped Joe Biden rig elections.
Well, we've had plenty of time and evidence at this point that you can say definitively that Joe Biden didn't rig the election, and they have been unable to prove that. I think, if nothing else, the judicial has at least upheld that as being fact. And so they can shout it all they want, but at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like any court in America will allow you to arrest someone without an actual shred of evidence.
And
now, I will say that the playbook has been there from, I don't know, a long time ago, but there was a very interesting video that came out, I think today, from Joe Scott on his channel, where he was talking about how dictators rise to power and how they, their playbook essentially. And he goes through a bunch of, and we'll link it in the description, but go check him out. And the one common thing they all have together is that every dictator, except for the ancestral ones, the ones who are like, oh, Kim Jong-il passes his dictatorship to Kim Jong-un, his son, there's no military coup or anything required. But all the other ones, there always starts with always starts with them, the people in power. So in this case, it would be Trump declaring a national emergency of one form or another, and shelving certain things, civil rights or due process, or those sorts of things. And then it's like you're saying, now we've got people in charge of the DOJ who have absolutely no scruples.
Right.
And if there's declared an emergency, they'll detain you. They'll put you in Gitmo, even if you're an American citizen, if you are, quote, the enemy within.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's getting very dark.
You brought up judges, and one of the things that Patel has said is any judge, or you calling for the resignation or the forcible removal of any judge that was prosecuting January 6 cases or that was prosecuting Trump. He called for that publicly, and this is the guy that you want leading the FBI. I mean, some other things that we can call out in here. He was reportedly the author of that Nunes memo. If you remember that fake FBI document that claimed that the FBI had improperly obtained that FISA warrant on Carter Page. The Carter Page feels like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
It's just ridiculous. What else? There's so much here. It's just this pick is insane. And then, of course, now we see, I hate to keep bringing up this guy, Elon Musk has reportedly said that any senator who refuses to push through Patel's nomination will get, will be challenged, right?
Yeah, he's gonna put the America PAC, against them by just levying their next opponent that they're going to have.
And so what's really interesting is there is this issue where the FBI director serves for 10 years. And probably for pretty good reason, right? There's probably a lot of ramp up, a lot of things you have to understand about the department. And Christopher Wray, if you remember, replaced Jim Comey in 2017. So technically, Kash Patel shouldn't be made FBI director until Christopher Wray is removed as director.
He's already announced that he's resigning at the end of the term, though, hasn't he? He said he's not going to stay on into Trump's term.
Did he say that? Okay, see, this is news to me.
I may be getting crosswired over, other members of the DOJ, but I thought it was the head who basically said that he's not staying on. And because a lot of people were asking the same question of like, well, can the president actually force this person to resign or leave or whatever? And then I think I saw Aaron Rupar actually said it, that he was quoted as saying he's leaving at the end of the.
I mean, according to this, at least on November 11th, Christopher Wray has said that he's not. He plans on he has expressed a desire to continue leading the FBI, but is also preparing for the possibility of being forcibly replaced.
Wow.
Which, I mean, if the FBI director is supposed to be on for 10 years, you would think that the forcibly replacing them, it should not be that easy. It shouldn't be that a new president can just come in and forcibly replace, the director of the FBI. But
it's happened apparently, and it is under the purview of presidential authority. He basically has the will and reason to replace the FBI director at his whim. In 93, Clinton dismissed FBI Director William Sessions due to ethical concerns. And in 2017, Trump dismissed James Comey, citing his handling of the investigation of Hillary's emails. So he's done it before. He'll probably do it again.
I mean, it's a weird. I mean, we're starting to learn that the checks and the balances that we supposedly have in place they're not really working that well. But you would think that to nominate an FBI director, it takes the entirety of the Senate, well, a majority in the Senate and the president's appointment to get that. So why wouldn't the reverse be true? I mean, it would probably happen anyway. The Senate would probably confirm the removal of Christopher Wray, but I mean, at least that should be happening. And I don't understand.
I think because I don't know is the answer, but I'm sure that the FBI falls under some portion of the executive branch, and he's the president of the executive branch specifically. So I think for those situations, the president gets to do pretty much whatever he wants, as long as Congress, which of course is the coin purse, doesn't think that it costs more money or that new appropriations need to happen for that reason. So there is, it's like you said, it's checks and balances. If it's his branch, then he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue with that. I don't have. I mean, this to me is crazy. It's another crazy pick. Is it crazier than Tulsi Gabbard and Hegseth? It's also it's so many varying degrees of crazy. I don't know. I just don't know.
Right.
It's all bad. I don't have anything else to say on this guy right now. I mean, there's just so much terrible with this guy that I am fearful. I'm not trying to be, this isn't hyperbole to me.
No.
I mean,
and I do want to say that, we brought this up after Trump won the election, but his first term, he ran and he got political cooperatives that he thought would be allies and who would help him do his goals, and ended up they were not 100% loyal to him in that capacity. And this time around, he's showing that he has no inkling to get a political appointee there who isn't 100% loyal to Donald Trump before country. He wants those people, and he wants them to do his bidding. So you're going to get people like this. And I hate to bring it up again, but the Joe Scott video, How to Become a Dictator, it talks about surrounding yourselves with these types of people to come into power. And like, once you're there, what happens? And man, it opens with the Saddam Hussein speech, which is just, it doesn't show the speech, but he's describing what's happening. And it's very, very dark. And you can very, very plainly see a line between a democratically elected president of the United States and a dictator that we have seen historically in other countries, especially when the playbooks look so similar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he doesn't go so far as to call him out by name or state that we're in this, potentially boiling pot situation, but it's starting to feel like we're getting frog boiled, and we need to be very, very careful.
I mean, I'll say How Fascism Works is another great book that does specifically call out Trump by name, and does call out the fascist playbook that Trump is seeming to adhere to. And I think you're right. I think Trump realized that what he did in 2016, or he probably had advisors as well that told him, "Hey, you need to pull back. You need to rein in these picks a little bit. They can't be too crazy." And
Right.
this time, he's just seeing it as a mandate for his
He's
fascism.
like, I couldn't get enough done last time. Uh, and and yeah, he's like, well, I know how to get stuff done. I'll just get better people who won't say no to me.
And that's certainly
And
what he's doing. Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what he's doing.
And you brought up you said something about what is the press secretary just dishing out stuff from Mar-a-Lago or whatever. But yeah, Caroline Leavitt just came out today. She's Trump's incoming White House press secretary. And we all remember how bad Huckabee Sanders was, and
Right.
oh god, what was his name before that? The the one that what was his name? He dressed up in that Easter outfit too. Oh man, I feel like he was forever ago. But anyway,
The guy who went on Dancing with the Stars.
yeah, the guy who went on Sean.
Jeff Sessions, right?
No, Jeff Sessions was Attorney General. Sean.
Oh, I messed it up last time too. Damn.
Sean. Somebody help me. Somebody. No, now I have to look it up.
Damn. You're not talking about the guy who was only there for like two. Huh? Spicer?
Sean
Spicer.
Spicer.
Yeah, Sean Spicer. I get Jeff Sessions and Sean Spicer confused for some reason. I don't think they look anything alike or sound alike or anything, but I don't know why, but my brain just goes back there.
But Melissa McCarthy used to play a great Spicer on SNL. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah, she did.
That was hilarious. But Caroline is the incoming White House press secretary, and
Okay.
she came out today. As you know, people listen. We have people that are on the internet, and they're on the internet full time. You know about these people.
I know about these people.
They've been monitoring her Twitter, and apparently she deleted 2 social media posts after being announced for as the White House press secretary. She deleted 2 social media posts that were both shared right after the January 6th riots that were both basically praising Mike Pence for certifying the 2020 election.
You can't do that and be in Trump's cabinet.
So,
That's not
so no. So yeah, so I guess apparently she had to delete those. And that story here, I could share it here. This is
Oh, was that in response to getting the nod? They're like, you'll be the secretary if you delete these pieces of evidence.
I mean,
or you change your tune, or she just thought it was a good idea because they didn't know about him yet, or
you know what? I'm trying to share the story, but it's not coming up. Oh, and okay. We got a little froze there. That story's on CNN. We'll link it in the show notes. I didn't have a lot to say on it other than just this is basically what MAGA is. This is the people that Trump is surrounding himself with. He's gonna say 2 + 2 is 5, and if they don't agree, then they're out, and he will find somebody that will say 2 + 2 is 5, my master. You know. So that brings me to the next topic that I wanted to bring up today, which is all over the place right now, of course, is the Hunter Biden pardon.
yes.
I feel like I have a lot to say here because I've first of all seen some horrendously bad takes about
mostly
this.
from Nate Silver.
Well, mostly from Nate Silver. Who, by the way, yeah, I don't want to give Nate Silver any, like, why are we talking about Nate Silver? I feel bad.
I still get mad at Nate Silver. I have to talk about him from time to time.
He's got three posts in his life about presidential pardons, and one of them is saying actually there's precedent for Trump's ridiculous pardons, and then the other 2 are bashing Joe Biden. For this pardon. So for those that don't know, Joe Biden pardoned his son today after I guess a couple months ago. Was it yesterday? After a couple of months ago, saying that he would never do that, and he gave him a pardon. Through the years, I think it was 2014 through 2024, and basically I guess went back on his word, whatever.
Who cares?
But
He's president one, and he's not running again too. I don't care if he goes back on his words. He can't be president again.
I mean, of all the terrible things Joe Biden has done, this is like to me pretty low on the list. Like, I don't give a shit about this.
Here's my take.
Okay.
Well, I agree with you. I want to be clear. I don't give a shit about this at all. And his official stance, and I think he put this in his press release, is that he thought that his son was used as political fodder for a crime that he did commit that anyone else probably wouldn't have been pursued on, because it just simply wouldn't have come up to any like attorney general or anybody in any position to prosecute it. So the fact that he's the president's son and his political opponents used that made it sort of an unfair, though he did commit a crime, prosecution. And pardon him, who fucking cares? He didn't hurt anybody.
They will literally hang
He didn't injure anyone. He didn't steal money from people.
Well, okay, so I want to get back to that. Okay. I put a pin in that for a second. I first want to say that that I forgot what I was going to say.
Nice.
I want to say I agree that yes. First of all, who cares? Let him pardon his son. If this were Trump's DOJ, do you think Trump's DOJ would even seek out prosecution of Donald Trump Jr.?
Oh, with him as president,
with Trump as president?
No, absolutely not.
This would never. This would never.
That would have been squashed from the top. He would have just been tweeting that it's illegal and we're never going to allow this, and the DOJ is corrupt, and he would have sent a memo that says you're not allowed to enforce this or prosecute it. And
right.
The DOJ would have dropped it, because they pissed their pants because Daddy said no.
No, I mean, it's exactly that. So my thing is, Biden was basically like, fine, let them let's get to the end of this. Let the DOJ have at it. I'm not gonna pardon him. And now that all of that's been done and over with, I think the real worry is the incoming administration would literally hang Hunter Biden on pay-per-view for anything. I mean
they might still.
I mean,
if the DOJ has no gloves and no leash, then political opponents are not off the table. And we know that the president is immune. So if he orders Hunter Biden to be captured and executed, and the DOJ doesn't stop him from doing that,
okay, so
then he's immune to do it. That's not murder. That's an act of official executive branch, right? According to SCOTUS.
Let's for a second just pretend that these pardons actually mean something. Okay.
Well, there's that.
So let's start with that. All right. You said he didn't hurt anyone. These were basically essentially victimless crimes, which is,
what was he actually prosecuted for? It was owning a firearm without a license or something,
and it's probably some drug use or whatever,
drug usage or something, right? I didn't think that it was. I mean, it wasn't vehicular manslaughter.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know, because I have never given a shit about this. I don't care. I literally never cared about Hunter Biden. What I do care about, though, is something that you said about this victimless crimes. Is there are 72,000 prisoners in federal prison right now for non-violent drug-related crimes that Joe Biden today could pardon. He could pardon 72,000 people in prison for marijuana possession, for for Schedule 1 drug possession, where they didn't hurt anyone, where it was non-violent, it was they were caught with it, they were whatever, not even distribution type drug crimes. So what I think that Joe Biden needs to do is not just stop at Hunter Biden. I think he needs to pardon. I think he needs to pardon members of
Antifa.
Well, yeah. I mean, go to the, like I said, go to the NAACP, go to immigration advocacy groups, go to the Freedom Project. Tell them, give me a list of people that you want pardoned, and then
he did that though, right? Am I misremembering
He
what he did with the marijuana charges? Because he
so
did do like a round of
he did
pardons that was
some
sort
of
of a
that.
blanket pardon for people who had like less than,
Right.
I don't know, a certain amount of marijuana, and that was
Right.
their only crime, and it
Right.
like was full absolution, right?
Yeah.
So, but I agree. I would just go there and be like, non-violent crimes,
Bye. I
bye.
mean, and then a part, a whatever it's called, a blanket pardon, a pardon ahead of
Yeah,
time for a number of people who are going to be serious targets for ridiculous conspiracy related reasons. I mean,
yeah. I feel like
Fauci.
are we gonna see, Nancy Pelosi like standing court for some deep state nonsense? Like, what
I
are we gonna see
I
here?
mean, that's what we might
And
see.
Chuck Schumer, and maybe you go after like George Soros, their favorite.
Right.
uh
George Soros is a perfect example. Anthony Fauci is another example. I mean, these
hmm.
people, Bill Gates is another example, right?
Yeah, well,
These,
good luck with Gates. Gates has enough money, he can keep him off him.
uh, and
Money talks, buddy.
you're not wrong. So my point is though, it's December 2nd. We have
It is.
Biden has very little time left, probably on this planet, but as well as in the office. I mean, he's old. He's old. Come on, he's old.
Jeez.
Um, go out a hero. Go out a hero, Joe. I mean, what are you
He had
doing?
so many opportunities to do it too. I mean, the big thing that we've alluded to this just a moment ago, but the Supreme Court has ruled that the president, in his action as the president of the executive, has at least an argument of absolute immunity when acting in that office's official capacity. That gives you the ability to do anything and then say, bring me to court about it. And that won't happen until Joe Biden has been dead for a very long time. So why not just use those levers today for good? And I don't want to hear I know what the arguments are. And I brought this up when I was arguing about Nate Silver earlier on Blue Sky, but it's this double standard that Democrats are held to as opposed to the Republicans, where the Republicans can do whatever they want. And if the Democrats do even 1% of the low brownness or whatever, the non-classy this and that, we just get murdered by pundits. Not murdered. We get just
Soon to
by
be
pundits
murdered by
that
pundits.
we're not playing fair. And I'm just going, you guys have been playing this same losing game for 40 years, and the opposition isn't playing it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
need to just start using your levers, and I don't give a fuck what Nate Silver says.
it's literally, I mean, that's the argument that I made today too. It was Nate Silver.
Yeah,
It was all these other people that straddle the line or try to pretend to be independents.
yeah, they love to be the unbiased,
Right.
moderate
The Joe
pundit
Walshes,
voice.
these
Oh,
people who
God.
are, oh, I can't believe Joe Biden would do this. I'm like, shut up. What I want to hear is literally every day I want a story to come out. From now until January 7th, I want to see that story in a different way every single day
Yeah,
from Joe Biden. I want him to do
yes,
something so insane for the left because, and don't say that, oh, well, now Trump is going to pardon all the January 6th. Bitch, he was going to do that
he was going to
anyway.
do that anyway.
Come
And
on.
in his last administration, and I'm sure that you have more on this, but in his last administration, the one key call out is he pardoned Jared Kushner's father, who
Yeah.
was serving a prison sentence for breaking the law. And it wasn't, again, it was more, as I understand it, the charges were more severe than that which Hunter Biden has, which I have now. Federal gun charges, where he was convicted of illegally purchasing a firearm by providing false information on a federal background check,
Yep.
and then tax evasion for $1.4 million in back taxes he didn't pay while abroad. And I sort of argue those are victimless crimes, and they didn't amount to anything after an investigation. He didn't use this illegally acquired gun to go and murder someone. He didn't use his tax evasion stuff to, put into a foreign currency and then launder it back. And
I
it
will
seems
say there
like
was there was witness tampering as well in there that you could start saying, okay, these are your stuff.
trying to get away with a crime after the fact. I
Yeah.
get it, but I don't care.
I
They don't
mean,
care about the underlying crimes. And so when you're like, he was trying to talk witnesses out, fucking Trump was on Twitter all goddamn through both of his uh what do they call where they kick you the presidency out? his impeachments. He was on Twitter or whatever during all of his impeachments, throwing out lies about everything. He was on Twitter throughout every single court case he's been in, doing witness tampering, and his lawyers get talked to from the judge every single session saying your client needs to get the fuck off the internet or I'm going to find him in contempt because he's doing witness tampering, like over and over and over again. So I'm like, spare me this whole Hunter Biden's a bad guy and he shouldn't have been pardoned. Eat my ass.
Wait, so what happened to Charles Kushner though?
He's probably going to get a cabinet pick.
Oh, he already. Oh, so you don't know?
They didn't make him a cabinet pick.
He was nominated as the U.S. ambassador to France just days ago.
Well, that's nothing.
I mean, it's something. It's still something.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I don't actually know. I'm learning. The crazier things get, the more fun history is, right? Like, so
yes.
So we're all learning a lot more. At least that's really great about civics and all of that. But I actually don't know what like an ambassadorship entails.
Right.
So
I don't either actually.
So but anyway, so he got issued a pardon in December of 2020, which is all I'm asking Joe Biden to do here. It's December 2024. Every single day, I want blanket pardons. Every single day, I want something that makes Nate Silver pee his pants. I want something that makes Joe Walsh go, I don't know how I could support a Democrat again in 2028. If this is, I don't care.
Man, Republicans can't support the Democrat in 2028? Wow. How weird is that?
Yeah, this is, it's crazy.
Why aren't the Republican candidates ever held to that? Why aren't they ever like the Republican candidates don't ever seem to want Democrats to vote for them?
It's literally,
why are we talking this way? I hate everybody in the media.
It's literally, I wanted to stop talking about him, but it's Nate Silver. Okay. I saw that you can search his Twitter. You can put the keyword pardon in, and there's 3 tweets that show up, and it's 2 bashing Joe Biden and 1 for Donald Trump going, well, actually there is precedent for this. It's fine. Everything's fine. It is what it is. You know, it's just a ridiculous double standard. And frankly, if the Democratic Party keeps, well, it's too late. It's probably too late.
It's too late.
I mean, I was going to say, if the Democratic Party keeps doing this, where they go low and we stay fucking dormant or whatever it is we're doing, this is fascism is what happens. This is what you get.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not a good look, if nothing else, but and I sort of agree with you. I think that the Democrats have been playing this game for the last 40 years of, we don't want to win too good. We just want to make it a race so that we can, drive up donations after we lose. Because we need that's what they really care about is money. And so when Hillary loses in 2016, the very next day you're getting texts and everything from people trying to raise money for the Democrats so that they can come back in the midterms in 2028. We're going to see it 2028 in 2018, and we're going to see it starting probably as early as January or February next year, where they're going to be like, oh, look at how terrible Trump is, we need your support, we'll match every dollar. And
it's already happening, man. Why am I still getting emails from Kamala Harris? First of all, that's the wrong way to fundraise. No more emails from Kamala Harris. Like, we no. I mean, I see those and I'm like, I just want to block this now. Like,
is she even like in years past politically? You were like radioactive as a first-time candidate who lost.
You're done. You're never heard from again.
You could be a governor. You might be a senator again, maybe, probably not. But like, you're not campaigning on a failed presidency. That's not something that has historically worked well.
Right. And then
some Democrats have the wherewithal to leave the public life. So Al Gore lost. He left the public sector and he wrote books. So that's just what he did, and good on him. He never bothered me again.
Right. I mean, I'm reminded of Howard Dean, who I'm not a particular fan of. But after his woo, his incident where remember though when those were the days where you couldn't run.
You thought those were the crazy people.
Yeah, I mean, and then he was like DNC chair, and then he kind of disappeared. And that's
really bad job as DNC chair, and
shocking. So I would like to, sorry if there are any Kamala fans listening, but I'd like to say
I was a fan of her, man. I didn't like her before she was sitting VP. I thought she did a fine job in VP, and we rallied behind her for the election, and we tried to get her elected, and the country just disagreed. And it is what it is. But now you're no longer a presidential ticket to me, and you're not going to fundraise off of that. That money can be better spent elsewhere. If you're going to go fundraise and reclaim a seat in California, take one away from the Republicans, great, do it. Go take a House seat. I don't care. But both senator seats are Democrats, and they're filled, and you're not going to primary either of them, are you?
Right.
So what does she do? She's got to go to some other state, and no other state's really going to like her for that position, I wouldn't imagine.
No, I mean, she'll be in the private sector in a couple of years. I mean, I think running again in 2028 would be a huge mistake.
The DNC can't allow that. They have to. I mean, we didn't let Hillary run again. I mean, it was an incumbent. It was a different situation. She didn't even show up in the primary.
Well, I mean, that was that her choice?
I don't know. I did that. A lot of backroom dealings going on, with the primary for this cycle. But yeah. I don't imagine in 28 you're going to run Hillary. So why would you run Kamala?
No, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I mean. The Kamala campaign internally, I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Their internal polls never had her ahead of Trump. Her internal favorability numbers were terrible. So running her again would be obviously a huge mistake. But we're not even anywhere near. I think it's always the case. You talk about potential candidates, and then 4 years and the whole landscape has changed. I think in 2028, I think the real, and this is something I wanted to touch on today. I think the real contenders are going to be the governors that step up the most.
Go the hardest.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this today in our home state, that let me see if I can pull this up without my whole world crashing down on me, is that Gavin Newsom announced a $25 million fund. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I got to pull it up on a site that's not going to completely explode for some reason. And here it is. So LA Times, Newsom wants $25 million to fight the Trump litigation he sees coming. So he's basically, earmarked is the wrong term to use because it's too literal, but he's trying to set aside $25 million.
He's filling the coffers for the known legal battles that will come.
Yeah.
Because California, for better or for worse, is basically the vanguard against overreach from the right.
Yeah.
Every time any Republican president or Senate, House or whatever tries to push through something that on its face may not be constitutional and or may violate state constitutions and has any legal precedent, that California has the money to actually fight those legal battles. And so
and I'll say that Washington State also did a fantastic job with that last time around too.
Yeah, it's multifaceted. I mean, it's really the big three blues, right? It's Washington, California, New York.
Yeah.
And obviously other states get involved as well, but those are the big three who actually set aside dollars just because they know that the fights will come. And they also think that they have the most sanctuary cities and yada yada yada. So they have the most to lose from an aggressive Trump DOJ with basically no scruples and no safeguards.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll say that it's probable. I can see like a Gavin Newsom being. He's been preparing for this. Let's face it. For the last.
He has to be, and again, it's he and. I don't like Gavin Newsom very much. As a Californian, he's not my favorite. However, he's certainly better than the alternative, and he does sort of have this fiery fighting spirit. And during Trump's first term, he was at odds with him a lot, and vocally so. And so you keep doing that enough, then you'll get some national spotlight.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Might be his time.
I'll tell you one thing. They had better realize that there are red lines now that Democratic voters will not cross. If you can't be quiet on things like what's going on in Gaza. Okay, so if it ends up being a Gavin Newsom, who, let's face it, is a center-leaning Democrat, right? I know that if he does end up on the top of the ticket, or he wins the nomination, that the right will call him the most socialist president since that ever lived. But he's pretty he's a pretty liberal Democrat, and we have to make sure that we're drawing the lines and that we're fighting for the working class. That we're saying maybe genocide is bad, maybe. We're gonna stop, because if Trump comes in here and somehow there ends up being peace, quote unquote peace in Gaza, even though Gaza is already just basically leveled.
It won't be.
Yeah, I mean, but he always uses that, and he tricks his followers into believing this, like, well, no new wars started under Trump. Well, I mean, technically that's true, but he dropped more bombs on Syria than anyone, than any president before him.
That was an existing war.
Yeah, existing
war.
And
in fairness, you can blame Obama for not ending the wars he said he was going to end in 8 years. So
listen, if you're saying that,
on the one hand, I don't want to give the guy any credit, but on the other hand, Obama sucks ass too.
So you saying that is a real problem for the Democratic Party?
It's not. It's really not a problem. You have to. I think that the Democrats really need to embrace the idea of being literal realists, like just acknowledging the truths of our world. There is a genocide in Gaza right now. That is a truth you can say out loud. It's not really even arguable to the other. You know who keeps arguing with it in the UN? The U.S. and Israel. The guys doing the war and the guys giving the bombs to the guys doing the war.
That's the Democratic Party. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying, is you're going to need somebody who has this populist message that you're espousing, and Trump did too, of I'm going to end this war. Nobody wants this genocide, and I'm going to end it.
Well, the Democrats will have the benefit of not being the incumbents the next time around, if there is a free and fair election the next time around, where they can say, he didn't end it, we can end it. And nobody can say, well, why didn't you end it in the last 4 years? Which I think was obviously a major problem.
I think you're going to have some Democrat candidates who want to distance themselves from Joe Biden specifically. I mean, say the stuff that you and I have been saying for the past 15 years of just Joe Biden is, by today's standards, and has been a moderate Republican for his entire political career.
Man, I want that, but I have a real worry, and I don't know how to fix it, that especially the mainstream media and a lot of the bigger media, and I don't know if they're being paid. I actually think a lot of them have admitted to being on the DNC payroll or whatever. The message that they're getting out to people is that we don't need that, is that we need a liberal like Kamala Harris, like Joe Biden, and that Bernie Sanders is bad, that populist messages are bad, all of these things are bad. And I don't know how to change that perception in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to shout it at him. You need to say, if you're so fucking smart about this liberal agenda sitting in the middle and trying to appease the Republicans, how come you lose so goddamn much?
I mean, yeah, the counter
you lost to Trump, who ran on populist messaging twice.
Yeah.
And he only lost his re-election campaign because he was in the middle of a worldwide pandemic that he got blamed for.
Like I said, Hillary, I'm surprised Hillary didn't run, because Hillary would have won. I think anybody, I mean, Joe Biden.
Right now in 20?
Huh?
I don't think she would.
I think she would have won. I do. I'll tell you who definitely would have won, though. Who would have won, the whole map would have been blue. Is Bernie Sanders.
Say it again.
Bernie Sanders would have won.
325, folks.
I mean,
no, I think that you and I, and obviously all of you at home who listen to this channel, we all probably agree that in 2016, Bernie Sanders would have mopped the floor with Donald Trump. They both would have approached the presidential with populist message and very different ways of like achieving their goals, and obviously different goals as well. But Bernie Sanders was the most just generally easily understood political figure. And you know how you get Republican voters? You get out there with Bernie's messaging, because there were so many Republicans and independents who will never vote Democrat who were like, I can get behind this Bernie Sanders guy.
I mean, he literally went to a Fox town hall, and the people at Fox were cheering for him and loved his message. I mean, that's how you get. You're right. You don't get Republican voters by getting some of the least popular Republicans to go campaigning with you, like Liz Cheney, whose father, by the way, left the vice presidency with like an 11% approval rating. Like that's not how you do it.
Not even a beloved Republican person. It's just like any Republican who would be willing to stand with you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, you're not going to win by getting Jeff Flake, who great for saying all the stuff you did on your way out of the Senate, but you're not going to win by getting Jeff Flake to go around the country with you.
No.
So
I got to ask you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Does that mean that what we need to do is actually get something like an independent coalition who doesn't want to be, not the Green Party, because I understand that, but like they are an elected Democrat, they're a running Democrat, maybe they're fighting with the Democrats, but they're in that coalition. And then when it comes time to primary for the general, they're actually positioning themselves as an independent. They don't say like they have to be a Democrat to be part of that primary process. But then when they're doing debating, they can say, I don't like being a Democrat right now. I consider myself more of an independent, and then go with that populist message.
And they'll lose.
To try and get that to work.
I mean, they'll lose. I mean, that's the problem, is that the DNC, I mean, you go into that message and you're basically talking about toppling the Democrat. There's nothing the Democrats will protect more than themselves. They don't care if the country falls to fascism like it currently is. They don't care if they lose to a guy like Trump. They have to protect their institution, right? And so when a Bernie Sanders threatens that, or a guy like you're talking about threatens that, they will move primary dates around. They will have 9 people drop out and keep the one person that splits the vote with Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, in. They will do stuff like that to make sure that the person that you're talking about doesn't win. But I agree with you. You have to work within the confines of the duopoly that we currently have. So how do you
got to get creative with
it. Right. But so I like,
because there's clearly enough people out there who aren't plugged in politically as much as we are, and they voted based on their conscience of, I need my life to improve. I think that there are enough people out there who could do that. So it sounds like we need to get somebody with a populist message through the primary system first. But unfortunately, you're talking to Nate Silvers of the Democrat Party before you get to actually talk to those wider viewed voters.
Yeah. I mean,
don't have a great answer.
I don't, but I like that. That's a good first thought, though. But it's understanding the problem, and the problem is that you can't get through the DNC with. I mean, we saw it with Bernie Sanders, right? It's like he
had the best chance. I mean, he's obviously, he in his state is an independent, but he has the most democratic ideas for the Democrats, and wants the people to be able to get a voice out there.
So I think you have to. I think the problem with Bernie is that he shat on the Democrats too much, right? Like, instead of saying, this is what we need to do, this is the direction that we need to go in, he did a lot of, here's why the Democrats are trash. Like he did a lot of punching.
That messaging worked. That got him to the dance.
Sure.
Say. But I agree that when you're in front of that crowd, you're shitting in their cereal.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of people that absolutely hate. I mean, people that agree with us ideologically on almost everything, but absolutely hate Bernie Sanders. For the reason of, like, he hurt my team, And for the reasons of you have a whole Democratic establishment that didn't want him to become president. So the messaging to those specific liberals were that Bernie is bad for the Democrats. He's hurting the Democrats. You know,
I understand that from the point of view of the Republican base. Like I could see them not understanding, you know, looking at the facts and figures after the fact. But when people are like, "Oh, Bernie costs Hillary the election now," or "He's the reason that Kamala lost," I'm like, we have enough captured statistics to show that that wasn't the case. And we have enough captured statistics to show that those candidates specifically lost out on the voters who feel disenfranchised by the duopoly. Just the people who aren't in the political spheres and they just want their lives to be improved.
Bernie brought
those
out
were the ones that you lost.
Exactly. Bernie brought out a ton of.
Bernie was the first one calling for raising the national minimum wage, wasn't he?
He did, and he got that into Biden's platform. And how often?
But that's what I'm saying is he has this populist message that works for the working class, non-political savvy voter. And that's something that you can campaign on.
Bernie got Joe Biden elected. A lot of people believe that.
I think so.
Biden adopted a lot of Bernie's populist message, including $15 minimum wage, but then became president. And what happened? They didn't even bring it to a vote.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a lot of that. I understand that. That's not really on him because they don't have complete control and all this. So they had the tie-breaking vote in the Senate, so it wouldn't have gotten through anyway.
So what? Make them vote on it.
I know. I understand. They would have just filibustered, and it's, you know.
Make them do it so you can point to them. You got to be able to point to them. But when you fail to even bring it to the floor, then it is on you. And I think Bernie said that as well when him and Nancy Pelosi were having their, you know, tit for tat. It's like,
yeah.
What are you telling me then that you're for the working class? You guys won't even bring this stuff for a vote. I mean, every year it's the same thing. You're going to codify Roe. You're going to fight for minimum wage. You're going to fight for worker protections. And then you get there and you don't do those things. And then while you're there, you say, don't worry, we'll do those things for you. You just have to vote for it. When did Kamala start campaigning, right? Like 7 months ago, 6 months ago? June, right?
June, yeah.
She's like, if you vote for us, we'll do those things. You still have 6 months. Do things. Do the things.
You're the tie-breaking vote. Whip up your base.
Prove it. And you know, so what? So you mean you'll do those things when you're president, but then the Senate will probably look even worse for you, and the House might look even worse for you. So
there is a certain amount. Like on the one hand, I understand campaigning on those populist promises, because Trump did the same thing. He's like, you know, I'm going to make it so that there's a flat tax, or I'm going to make it so that tipped taxes.
I'm thinking about no income tax at all. Yeah.
I'm going to do no income tax at all. It's not going to be a national sales tax.
Right.
I'm not going to do any of that.
Right.
Okay. He made those promises knowing full well that he can't get those things done. So he's just not gonna, but it's fine. And then you have the other side of it with Joe being like, I need to get elected, so I'm going to promise these populist things, knowing full well that I won't have the votes for it.
Yeah. I mean, this is the difference between a Bernie Sanders, who I don't believe has ever lied about the things he believes in, and like a Joe Biden or a typical Democratic candidate who will go there and say, hey, do you believe we should have universal health care? And somebody like a Kamala Harris will sit back and they'll go, you know, that would be very hard to do for all these shut the fuck up. Yes. Yeah. Yes, we believe yes. Like what's
it's, you know, that's interesting. I really am I want to go back and look at some of those types of questions, because you're right. It's asking, is this something that that you believe we should do versus can we do it? And you just, you know, tucking tail and talking in circles until it's the other person's turn to talk.
Yeah, exactly. It's always that's how the right gets the left with how you're going to pay for it. What fucking when he's like no income tax, how are you going to pay for it? And then he's like fucking 80% tariffs on everything. What the fuck is happening? And so just do it. I want the left to do the same thing. Just do the same thing. That's how you're going to win an election. But then actually try and get that shit done for the working class, and you'll never lose another election.
That was the second point that I was going to talk about just a moment ago. And it is that it's the establishment would rather have the threat of these things than fixing them, because they can campaign on them.
Oh my God.
I mean, so much from June to November was, we're going to codify Roe v. Wade when Harris is president. We're going to do away with the filibuster when Harris is president. We're going to, and it's like, okay,
pack the court.
But Biden said it.
Right.
Obama said it. Like, where are your wins? Obama could have done it. He had the House and the Senate for a short period where he could have done some real good.
Right.
And focused on healthcare.
And he did do good. I mean, I'm not saying Obama's presidency was all bad. It was as good as we were going to get.
You
know, so I can't knock. I mean, I can. There's a lot that was bad. But there's going to be a lot that's going to be bad about every president in our lifetime. And I think one of the most beloved presidents, Jimmy Carter. You know, I'm always like, fucking Jimmy Carter. Don't get me started.
Not beloved. Jimmy Carter is maligned on both sides as one of the worst presidents in history, and I just disagree with it for a number of reasons. But we don't need to go into that. And yeah.
Wait, no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, you were talking about Obama doing a lot of good things, and I'm like, I have a laundry list of things that Obama did or didn't do that pissed me off. He didn't end in any of the wars he claimed he was going to end.
Right.
That George H.W. Bush started. Right. He didn't raise the minimum wage. He campaigned on that. He didn't end the tax loopholes for millionaires, now billionaires, where they basically just trade on debt until they die, and then their inheritors absolve those debts by paying with no taxes the sale of stocks. He had so many things that he campaigned on that were good. Not all of them were populist messaging, right, but they were all objectively going to help the working class and normal people, and it was going to shore up some of the unfairness that the rich got to enjoy.
Yeah,
but when it was time to put the cards on the table, he didn't do any of them.
Right, and people don't.
He only focused on healthcare, and I argue that he didn't do a good solution there either.
I agree. I mean, remember Guantanamo Bay. He promised to close Guantanamo Bay. He didn't do that. He promised to be better on immigration. He deported more people. He was worse, arguably worse on immigration than any president before him.
And then Biden showed up and he says, "I'll show you what immigration."
I'll teach you.
Listen, Jack, and started poking him in the chest.
I mean, he expanded the surveillance state. Anyway,
he drone striked more than anybody, and he was sort of a war criminal in his own right as a president.
Where's that painting? I mean, is it
a painting?
No, wait. You'll know
what
I
high art with Nate and Mike today.
Hold on. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I won't. Nah, I don't think I will. He did that. He had a painting made of him, like his official painting, where he was in. Here it is. I'll show you here.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It was this one, right, with the flowers and stuff. And then somebody made a different one, which was just him in that chair, but it's just bombs. It's just bombs behind him.
Just drone strikes all behind him.
That's a lot of what people are going to remember his presidency as, unfortunately.
It's going to be Obamacare and just bombing people in the Middle East.
God damn it!
Not a great legacy look. If you want the truth of it.
So Mike, we need to come up with some answers. I mean, we need to help figure out how to get the Democratic Party on the right track. And frankly, nobody's going to listen to us. But the
good news is, I've got some good news for you.
Go ahead. All right.
The good news is that the DNC and the Democrat Party and powers that be, I mean, they're probably going to be hanging from the wall in a couple of
fuck's sake. Oh my God.
Not that I condone that. I'm just saying.
Well, I found the clip for the beginning of this episode. that'll get you prepped. That'll get you prepped for what you're about to hear. That's a good place to begin and end. We've gone past the 1 hour mark. Like every single episode, we could probably talk until tomorrow. And still run out of things to say and breaking news and all of that. So maybe we'll have a second episode this week. We'll see how the week goes and the changes that take place. For now,
we'll see who gets nominated tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. For now, I'm Nate Brady.
And I'm Mike Smith. Thanks everybody for listening to Blue Sedition. Give us the likes and the follows and all that good stuff.
Subscribes, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.